Hello everyone, I'm back again with another God Guide, and today we're going to take a look at Kukulkan. Now, Cuckoo Dragon here is a god that I really love. I used to play him a lot, and that's because he's really easy to play. If you want to play mid, this is a very good god to start out with. He's very easy to play, and he's not that bad. He's kind of fallen out of favor in the pro scene just because really all he just does a lot of damage. He doesn't have that much utility. But he is very good at dealing damage, and he's very good at sieging the enemy towers and defending your towers. Just because of how powerful his tornado is and how much people do not want to be in that tornado. But outside that, he's not like Giannis or Isis or Poseidon, gods that have more utility in their kits, and that's why they're more powerful than Kukulkan. But Kukulkan is still good. You just have to make sure you get your damage up. So, we're going to start out looking at the build. First off, of course, we're going to get Vampiric Shroud, a default item for your mages. Very good, very powerful, and it gives you a lot of sustain, which you definitely need early. So then, of course, you got your choices. You can either do Lost Artifact, which I prefer, or you can do Tiny Trinket. Either one of these two are fine, just personal preference. You'll get a little more damage out of Tiny Trinket, but the Lifestone, it doesn't matter. You get a tiny bit less damage from Lost Artifact, but you get the extra mana regeneration. So it just depends if you want the mana regeneration or the extra damage. And then, of course, spend the rest of your gold on potions. Then we got the regular build. We'll get the penetration boots. Now that penetration has been added back to these boots are very good now. And yeah, there's not much of a reason not to get them on Kukulkan. The only reason you'd ever get the cooldown reduction boots now is if you're trying to build someone utility based, like if you want to go utility on Giannis and stuff, then you would still want that then. But Kukulkan is all about that damage, so you want the extra penetration. Then I usually like to get Book of Thoughts second, just because it synergizes so well with his passive. And the passive on Book of Thoth does also work with the passive from Kukulkan. So you're gonna get a lot of extra damage just from the mana you get. And I mean, it's a lot. So I usually build the second. Then I go to Spear the Magus. This is gonna be your go-to penetration item. And once you get this up, you're going to be hitting very, very hard. Spear the Magus is a very good item, especially on gods that have dots. And Kukulkan's Tornado is a very powerful ability, especially once you get Spear the Magus up. Then I usually get Bancrest Talon just for the extra damage from it. It gives you a lot of damage. The Lifestone doesn't matter, like I said before. Then, of course, we're going to end with the two regular items, Chronos Pendant for the cooldown reduction, and Rod Tahuti just because it gives you a stupid amount of damage. Now, as far as this build right here goes, if you do run this, you don't have to build Book of Thought second. You can pretty much build Book of Thought wherever you want. You can build it last if you want to. You can build it first if you want to rush this. Although rushing it will be kind of risky because you won't have boots, and boots are very good. So just be mindful if you rush it, but you can. I mean, you do get a movement speed from one of your abilities, but still risky. I mean, you can build it after Spear the Magus. If you build Spear the Magus second, you're going to be getting a lot of damage from your tornadoes. So just personal opinion. This is usually the order I build it, but sometimes I build Book of Thoth in a different spot, just depending. And then some other options. If you want to replace an item in this build with one of these, I would suggest getting rid of Bancrest because these other items are kind of necessary, or at least I think they are. So the first three options are kind of defensive. If you're having a hard time staying alive, then Ethereal Staff and Warlock Sash, of course, give you a whole lot of health. I usually like to get Ethereal Staff because I don't like getting 100 stacks on Warlock Sash. But Kukulkan is very effective at taking out minions, so it's not the worst thing on him. Also, I still probably would prefer Ethereal Staff though. It's just much easier to, deal with all the stacks. And if you get Warlock Sash, you would have to build it either first or second. And Ethereal Stab you could just get much later in the game if you're feeling squishy. Another one is Breastplate of Valor. And because Breastplate of Valor gives you the mana, that means you're also going to get the damage from mana. Because you get damage from the amount of mana you have. So the extra mana from Breastplate of Valor will give you some extra damage. It's not going to be a whole lot, but it will give you a lot of physical protection. It's going to give you the 25% cooldown, which I guess if you do get this item, replace it with the Cronus Pendant. These other 3 items, replace with Bancross. They want Breastplate and replace it with Chronos Pendant. But yeah, that's 75 physical protection, 25% cooldown reduction, and plus 550 mana, and you'll get a tiny bit of extra damage out of it. It's not bad. This is not a very expensive item either. It's pretty cheap. Then we got Gem of Isolation. Gem of Isolation very good. It's going to give you some extra health, give you some extra mana, and when you use your Tornado, you'll put a slow on them. That dot's going to put a slow on them. It's very good. You also have a slow in your 1, so you'll just have a bunch of slows, and that'll be a little bit easier to set up your ultimate, which is kind of the deciding factor on how good you do with Kukulkan is if you hit your ultimate. So there's also that. This item is pretty useful for setting up your ultimate if you don't really have a whole lot of setup on your team. But other than that, I think these core items right here are probably still the best 6 to get for Kukulkan in most situations, but these other items right here are still very good in certain situations. And I will say Gem of Isolation is actually very good on Kukulkan. I just don't really have anything I like to switch it out with for the most part. Then for actives, regular, you get your standard mages, mage actives, got Purification Beats, because no mage wants to be CC'd. Aegis for a bunch of burst damage if the enemy team has a bunch of bursty abilities, and Combat Blink if they don't have a lot of bursty abilities. So that's going to be the build. Then let's take a look at the abilities that I just went by. So we're going to take a look at passive Power of the Windrill, and this increases maximum power by 5% of your maximum mana. That's why you also get Book of Thoth, because that also goes with that. And that's just going to give you a crazy amount of damage. It's pretty crazy. It's very good. This is a very good ability, passive ability, just because Kukulkan's all about that damage, and this is just going to give him a whole lot of damage. Next, we're going to look at his 1. This is Zephyr. Zephyr is he just fires a projectile, and whoever it hits, it's going to slow him. Now, this also does a little AoE when it hits someone, so it does a little AoE around the person that you hit. So that's also useful. It also slows all of them. This ability actually can hit pretty hard late game. And that slow is very useful. At max rank, it's 50% slow. That's pretty good. I'm not going to lie. That's pretty good. It's a very good ability, and one that does a whole lot of damage. You usually want to use this after you put the Tornado on someone, just because you want Spirit of the Magus to go ahead and get stacked up from Tornado, and that way Zephyr will do the most damage after they get their protections lowered. Then we got Slipstream. This is going to be his movement speed buff. This is really all it does. Max rank, 40% movement speed. That's a lot of movement speed. But you do get the 1 second immunity to slow when you activate it. That's not. That doesn't really matter too much. Well, it does matter, but it's just 1 second. You have to time it like really well. And if you already had it activated, then well, you're not. That really doesn't do a whole lot for you. Well, this is very good. Yeah, it's good for getting you out of bad situations sometimes, but it's not the most useful thing. It's just kind of there. It's nice to have. Then we got Whirlwind, or just tornadoes, I like to call it. So basically, you summon a tornado. It does dot on them for however long they stay in it, and it also follows them when they leave it for a couple seconds. They sticks with them for 2.5 seconds. So if they're staying in it, they get a tornado on them for 2.5 seconds, and as long as they stay in it, it keeps refreshing. So they take constant damage inside of it. By the time they get out, it's an extra 2.5 seconds that the tornado is going to be stuck on them. And this adds up a lot of damage, especially late game. This ability just hurts so much. It's just crazy. You can take out 75% of someone's health with the tornado. It's just, this ability is very good. This is what makes Kukulkan very good. He's very safe in lane just because of tornado. He can start clearing the wave very easily pretty early on. By the time you get this ability to like level 3 or so, you should be pretty good in lane. It's very safe. This has pretty good range on it. You can sit way back, put the tornado down, and you're good. Now, as far as positioning the tornado for minions, you want to try to place it where, when they're coming through the lane, while they're running down the lane, you want to try to place it right in front of them so they will run through it. And that way, they'll all be affected by the tornado. Or if they're stopped attacking the minion wave, then try to place it kind of in the middle of them so it hits all of them. You want to try to get this to hit as many minions as you can so you can kill them. Also, I know I'm still going on this tornado, but this is a very good ability. If they're in the jungle, they don't have much room to avoid tornadoes, and I'll get to that on the next ability too. This is very good for cutting people off because they're not going to want to run through the tornado. So if they're running away from you, you can place tornado in front of them. Then they either have the choice of having to fight you or run through the tornado. It's very good for preventing people from coming at you. And also, if you get a melee person on you, just place tornado right on top of you and just stay in the tornado, because that melee person will have to fight you inside the tornado, which they do not want to do. And then we'll finally move on to the ultimate, Spirit of the Nine Winds. So basically, you summon this. I kind of like to call it dragon summon. You summon this dragon. He comes in, swoops down, does a line attack. It hurts a lot. And this is kind of what makes or breaks Kukulkan for your team. Okay, if you're not hitting your ultimate, then your team is probably not going to win the fight sometime. I mean, if you hit this ultimate, you won the team fight. Your team wins the team fight. This ultimate just does so much damage. If you miss, then you're not going to be doing a whole lot in the team fight besides putting down tornadoes. And all they have to do is just walk around the tornado, and then you're not doing a whole lot. So you want to try to have some way to set up your ultimate. If you have a good setup on your team, then I mean, this is going to be easy to hit your ultimate, and you're just going to get easy kills. This ability easily hits in the thousands once you get it leveled up and get some items. This is just a very nasty ability, and this is a very, very nasty ability in the jungle because of how tight the jungle is in there. They don't really have a way to avoid it without like jumping away or something. So as far as leveling up your abilities, of course, you want to level up Tornado. You want to get it leveled up as quickly as you can so you can start clearing that wave. You want to get Zephyr second, Slipstream third, and of course level up your ultimate whenever you can. So that's going to do it for Cuckoo Dragon here. He's a very good god. I love him. He's still a lot of fun. He's very easy to play. Just remember, he does kind of have a skill cap. He can only do so much. But if you want to learn how to play mid or mages in general, Kukulkan is a very good guy to start off with. With that, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know who y'all like to see me do next. And hope you have a great day and have fun.